In November of 2021, Eric Adams, with strong support of the Turkish government, won the New York mayoral election. In total, from 2016 to 2021, Adams received the following benefits, none of which he reported on his annual disclosure forms. Total value would easily surpass $123,000, and remember, this is separate from all the illegal campaign contributions he received in the form of straw donations, based on which he reaped over $10 million in taxpayer money to fraudulently fund his campaign. In part 1, I went over all the gifts and the campaign support he received from the Turkish government, and I exposed many of the people involved. I highly recommend watching that video before proceeding with this one if you haven't done so already. Here in part 2, I will continue his saga and finally uncover how he used his position as mayor to repay the Turkish government. A day after the election, the Turkish businessman won and the Turkish promoter exchanged the following messages. Good morning. The president is our brother from now on, sir. Quick reminder that they refer to Adams as president since he was president of Brooklyn Borough. Are the elections over? It was yesterday, sir. Everyone messaged me that he was elected. Congratulations messages. He is most likely going to assign me as a representative, sir. I'm going to talk to our elders in Ankara about how we can turn this into an advantage for our country's lobby. That would be nice. The promoter also celebrated Adams' prospects with many others, telling them that Adams would soon be president of the United States. Similarly, the Turkish official wrote to Adams' staffer, the foreign minister of Turkey is, quote, personally paying attention to him. But we haven't talked about why the Turkish government was so heavily invested in this man's career. You see, in 2017, construction began on a 36-story building in New York City, right across the United Nations headquarters. This building would be referred to as the Turkish House and was designed to serve as headquarters for multiple Turkish diplomatic missions. As you might imagine, this was not cheap and its cost was a topic of debate in Turkey. It was a high priority for the Turkish official to have this building be ready by September 2021 so that Turkish President Erdogan can formally open the building during his visit for that year's United Nations General Assembly. The building was completed by then, but they could not receive clearance to open it without an inspection from the fire department. Various New York City officials tried to help the Turkish official by pressuring the fire prevention chief to provide a letter of defect. A letter of defect is basically a letter saying that the building's defects are limited and the building can safely be occupied. The fire inspection chief refused, citing numerous defects, saying the building would fail any FDNY inspection. September the 5th, the Turkish official began asking Adams to intervene with the commissioner of the FDNY. In one phone call, he stated that because Turkey had supported Adams, it was now his turn to support Turkey, and Adams responded, I know. 3 days later, Adams messaged the FDNY commissioner asking for a letter of defect. The FDNY commissioner responded, we will get on it tomorrow. Then Adams assured the Turkish official, don't worry, I am on top of this. Before we proceed, you might be wondering how bad were the fire hazards of this building? Was Adams asking them to simply expedite the process or to ignore serious safety violations? Well, we have an email sent from the FDNY inspector on September 9th. Chief, I do not see any way we would be willing to accept it. They have some major issues like central station and fan shutdowns, which would be an automatic violation order. A list of 60 defects with 5 to 10 problems in each one. This building is not safe to occupy. The morning after that email was sent, Adams messaged the FDNY commissioner again, who responded that there was a difference of opinion, but that he was, quote, trying to iron it out. On the same day, the FDNY chief of department summoned the fire prevention chief to a meeting and informed him that if the FDNY did not assist the Turkish consulate, both of them would be out of a job. This guy was the commissioner's direct subordinate and the fire prevention chief's superior. The fire prevention chief then drafted a conditional letter of no objection for the building. He had never before written such a letter. This was not standard FDNY procedure, and he later described it as unprecedented. At 2:17 of that day, the FDNY commissioner wrote Adams, "Letter being drafted now. Everything should be good to go Monday morning." 4 minutes later, Adams messaged the Turkish official, "Letter being drafted now. Everything should be good to go Monday morning." Say what you want about Eric Adams, his response time was immaculate. 4 minutes? You can't get that customer service anywhere. Moving on, the Turkish official responded, "You are great, Eric. We are so happy to hear that. Pray emojis. You are a true friend of Turkey." And so, with no fire inspection, the building was officially inaugurated by Erdogan on September 20th, who called it a reflection of Turkey's greatness and growing power. Meanwhile, while all this was happening, on September 28th, Adams purchased 2 round-trip economy class tickets on Turkish Airlines to Pakistan for a total price of $1,436. A month later, his staffer messaged him to confirm that he was still planning to fly so she can have his tickets upgraded to business class. Adams responded, "Okay, do so." A day later, she messaged the airline manager requesting the upgrade, and so his tickets got upgraded to business class at no cost. 4 days before the flight, Adams asked to change his destination to Ghana, which the airline manager arranged at no cost. Had Adams paid full price for the business class tickets to Ghana, they would have cost more than $14,000. This flight had a 9-hour layover in Istanbul. The Turkish official offered various arrangements, including an escort to meet Adams and his girlfriend at the gate upon landing in Istanbul, pick up in a BMW 7 with a driver, dinner at a high-end restaurant where Adams would meet a Turkish government official, drinks at a separate location, a boat tour of the Bosphorus Strait, and return to the airport in time for his flight to Ghana. Adams selected the airport escort with driver and dinner, but declined the Bosphorus Strait cruise, explaining that he had already done the boat tour a few times. In touting the benefits he provided, the Turkish official messaged the staffer, saying, "Don't let the airline manager and others confuse Adams. We are the state." Again, what is up with these two? Adams requested that his excursion into Istanbul receive no media attention, and the Turkish official agreed that it would be confidential. Accordingly, he confirmed that during their dinner at the Istanbul restaurant, his, quote, "team did not let anyone take any pictures." This was in stark contrast to the Ghana portion of Adams' trip, for which he actively sought press coverage and posted about it on his social media account. Like, a lot. Despite being on trips, Adams was not too busy to provide favors to his benefactors. On December 8th, the Adams staffer sent the airline manager a list of Adams' transition committees and asked, "Have you looked at the list?" He responded, "Lead please, otherwise seat number 52 is empty on the way back," implying that if he was not given a position on the committee, Adams would not be flying business class on Turkish Airlines. Told you he was a funny guy. And so he was added to Adams' transition committee. A few days later, a senior Turkish government official sent the airline manager text messages noting his recent membership on Adams' committee and sending applause emojis. The airline manager responded that his membership on the committee was in service of Turkey, saying, "Thank you, brother. We are doing our best to serve our country adequately. Your support gives us strength here. You are always there for us, and we're trying to be worthy." And to wrap up the year 2021, Eric Adams once again did not report the benefits he received on his annual disclosure form. In January of 2022, Eric Adams was inaugurated as mayor of New York City, and almost immediately he began preparing for the next election cycle. On January 11th, Mayor Eric Adams and his staffer met the promoter at a high-end New York City restaurant in a separate private area. Never a good sign. The promoter said he could collect more foreign contributions if Adams visited Turkey and met with Turkish business people. Adams welcomed the offer and asked his team to arrange the contributions. On April 21, the Turkish official messaged Adams' staffer noting that Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day was approaching, repeatedly asking for assurances that the mayor would not make any statement about the Armenian genocide. That's not pathetic. The staffer confirmed that Adams would not make a statement about it, and indeed, when the day came, he did not, which is something that New York City mayors historically have done. In February of 2023, businessman 4 was having issues with the New York City Department of Buildings, and on the 5th of February, he texted the mayor saying, "I always supported you, but that he was having a hard time with the Department of Buildings. Adams responded, "Let me look into this." A week and a half later, the businessman responded to Adams, "Mayor, brother, I want to thank you for your help. DOB issue partially resolved and they promised to expedite the process. Thank you. You have my continued support." In the summer of 2023, the promoter wrote Adams' staffer that he could secure contributions to the 2025 campaign from Turkish nationals if Adams would attend an event with them. Adams' chief fundraiser suggested that the Turkish donors make their contributions well in advance of the event so that the event did not appear connected to the contributions, and Adams agreed to the plan. They scheduled an event for September the 20th. Before the event, the promoter collected payments of $5,000 or more from the attendees, many of whom were foreign nationals, which he then sent to Adams' staffer, who distributed $2,100 in cash to at least 3 straw donors, who in turn contributed the amount to Adams' 2025 campaign. The fundraising event took place afterwards in a private room at a Manhattan hotel. To conceal the event's true purpose, the promoter provided a PowerPoint presentation about sustainable destinations hosted by international sustainability leaders and an attendance price of $5,000. This event was not publicized nor listed on Adams' public calendar. On his private calendar, it was entered as Fundraiser for Eric Adams 2025 and a note that said total submitted before the event $22,800. Adams attended another fundraiser on October 9th, hosted by another Turkish businessman dubbed Businessman 6. Businessman 6 is actually a Yup Ulu who runs Portex Inc., an import-export business, and he was also a member of Turkish American Chamber of Commerce and Industry, a group with confirmed ties to Mayor Adams and Erdogan. His name has been removed from the group's board of directors page, but is still visible on an archived version from just a year ago. This fundraiser was organized by a Turkish American PR representative and a publisher of a US-based Turkish magazine. The PR rep is Cüneyt Gürkan and the publisher is Cemil Ozyurt, and his magazine is called Turk of America. At this fundraiser, Businessman 6 told Adams he wished to contribute significant amounts of money to the 2025 campaign. He explained to Adams that he owned a large company that employed many drivers which they could use to contribute to the campaign. Adams scheduled a dinner with Businessman 6 but was cancelled after the federal investigation into his conduct became public.
Now, this video here is of FBI agents searching the home of Brianna Suggs this morning, a top fundraiser and a key campaign consultant for Mayor Eric Adams. According to the Times, the FBI is searching for evidence of foreign national campaign contributions and are particularly interested in whether the campaign kicked back benefits to the construction company's employees and Turkish officials.
On November the 2nd, the FBI raided the homes of the fundraiser, Businessman 5, and the staffer. When the fundraiser found out that the FBI agents had arrived at her door, before answering their repeated knocks at the door to find out why they were even there, she called Adams 5 times. When she finally did agree to speak to the FBI agents, she refused to say who had paid for her trip to Turkey in 2021. Businessman 5 agreed to speak with FBI agents and acknowledged that he and his employees had contributed to Adams' 2021 campaign. He also acknowledged that he had spoken with the Turkish official about his company's fundraiser, but he lied about the straw donations, falsely denying that his construction company reimbursed his employees' donations. The staffer also agreed to speak to the FBI and falsely denied their criminal conduct. During the interview, the staffer excused herself to go to the bathroom and deleted the messaging apps she had used to communicate with all her co-conspirators.
Breaking news here in New York City. The FBI seizing electronic devices belonging to Mayor Eric Adams.
Two sources familiar with the matter say the mayor turned over 2 cell phones and an iPad and later turned over additional electronic devices.
On November 6th, FBI agents seized Adams' devices. Although he was carrying several devices, including 2 cell phones, he was not carrying his personal cell phone, which is the one he used for everything we discussed in this video. Adams did turn in his personal cell phone the next day in response to a subpoena, but the device was locked. He claimed that he changed the password after he learned about the investigation because he wished to preserve the contents of his phone due to the investigation and didn't want his staff to accidentally delete the contents of his phone. Unfortunately, he also claimed that he had forgotten the password that he had just set and thus was unable to provide the FBI with a password that would unlock the phone. Sounds legit. In June of 2024, FBI agents interviewed businessman 4 and 4 of his employees, through whom he had made straw donations to the 2021 campaign. After the interview, businessman 4 contacted one of Adams's employees, who we mentioned in the last video as Adams Employee 1, who quickly came to his company's office and stated that he had just met with Adams at City Hall. He proceeded to encourage him to lie to the feds. He then asked to talk to the 4 employees and encouraged them to lie to the feds as well. He then took photographs of the subpoena that had been issued to businessman 4 to send to Adams. A day later, the two met again, and the employee told businessman 4 again that he had just met Adams at City Hall and that they had left their cell phones outside the room in which they met so that it would be safe to talk. Now, I am not 100% sure about the identity of Adams Employee 1, but his description matches Mohammed Bahi, Adams' chief liaison to the Muslim community. He was arrested and charged with witness tampering and destruction of evidence on October 8th, as he is believed to have encouraged witnesses to lie and destroyed incriminating evidence. He faces up to 20 years of prison time on each count. To wrap this up, I'm going to leave you with an alarming question. Some of these people believed Eric Adams would become president someday. What if he actually did become president of the United States? Can you imagine the foreign policy of a president who was hyper sympathetic towards Turkey? What kind of policies would he enact? Lifting some sanctions maybe? Can we even calculate how exponential of a return on investment that would have been for Turkey? And finally, how many other Eric Adamses are out there that we just don't know yet?